acknowledge that we were founded on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Attawandaronk, the Mississauga and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and now live on land that is home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We have many representatives working across this land now known as Ontario, and we acknowledge that there are 46 treaties and other agreements that cover the territory. We are grateful to be able to work and live on this land, and thankful to the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people who have cared for these territories since time immemorial, and who continue to contribute to the strength of Ontario and to all communities across the province. To continue to center reconciliation, we encourage our team, partners, students, and teachers to take time to learn about the lands they are currently on. Visit native-land.ca for more information.
All right. Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday and happy Local Food Week. So to celebrate, we are going to be taking a tour of an egg farm. We're going to be able to learn all about how the farmers take care of their chickens that then lay the eggs, the process of collecting and cleaning and packaging these eggs. And yeah, my name is Madison. I'm the events assistant at Eggscape. Here with me today is Andrew, who is a regional farm manager at Burnbrae, and Sue Hudson, who is the director of communications and digital marketing at Burnbrae. So during the field trip, if you have any questions that you're curious about, please put them in the chat. Andrew would love to hear from you. All right, Sue and Andrew, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and then we can get started?
Sure. So I'm Sue Hudson, and as Madison mentioned, I'm the director of communications and digital marketing for Burnbrae. And Burnbrae is actually my family's business. So I work with my 3 sisters and my brother in the business. And I also have a team that I work with to do our digital marketing. So that includes our social media. So if you're on Instagram or TikTok, you can follow us. And I just thought an interesting fact that you might like to know is that my dad actually started Burnbrae Farms in the egg business as a high school project when he was 14 years old. And he purchased 50 chickens. And by the time he was 18 years old, he had more than 3,000 chickens. So back in the day, that would have been in the 1940s. Today, it's a lot of chickens, and back then it was a lot of chickens too. So Andrew is going to introduce you to our solar egg farm. We call it Raylos, and that's solar spelled backwards. So I will hand it over to Andrew to take you through the tour.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm Andrew, and I help Burnbrae manage a few farms. We have 3 just outside of Woodstock, and we will, as Sue said, we'll be focusing on the Raylos farm. So let's jump right into the tour.
Perfect. All right. So first we're going to be showing you a video, and Andrew is going to be talking all about their facilities.
So this is the Raylos farm, and as Sue said, this is a solar-powered farm, and all of the birds can also go outside, which means the birds are free range. On the Raylos site, we have 3 barns, which you'll be able to see in a second there, and on each barn we have solar panels. So so we're collecting solar, and the farm is run by solar. So this is Raylos here still. So Raylos has about 36,000 chickens per barn, and that's 3 barns. So that translates to about 100,000 eggs a day. This is the Adnac farm, which is actually Canada backwards, and this is the older but original site for the Woodstock location. It's neighboring just beside Raylos. So when Raylos collects too much sun power or sun energy, they actually share it with our older farm here. And this farm has about 170,000 chickens on it, which is about 160,000 eggs every day. So back to the Raylos farm. These are the batteries that all the sun's energy is stored into. That way we still have power overnight. Power is super important to running a farm. You need to ventilate it all the time. You need to have lights in there, and there's lots of automation. So this is kind of where all the power gets directed to the barns and to each individual need. And on this panel here, this screen, you can actually see how much sun power we're collecting in a day, how much we're using, and kind of where it's going. So this is the ventilation. Fresh air is very, very important to birds. They constantly need fresh air, and all the fresh air will come in through flaps, which are automated, and it's temperature controlled. So in the barns, we want the barns to stay about 20 to 24 degrees. And this is all automatic. So you can see the flaps opening and they're letting fresh air in. And these fans actually pull air out of the barn, which actually causes the air to come in through those flaps. This is just a backup generator, just in case the solar can't keep up. Let's say like in the winter months when there's not so much snow or when it's raining and stuff. This will kick on. So before we go into the barns, biosecurity is very important to maintaining chickens' health. Keeping out harmful diseases, bacterias, and parasites is critical. To do this, we change all of our clothes. We wipe down any and all equipment that's coming into the barn with disinfectant to keep them safe. And you can see here, this is actually Lance. He's changing into one of our barns right now. So he has to put on a hairnet, put some coveralls on, and even put on barn boots that only go in the barns. And this helps keeps our birds safe. So now when we kind of go into the barn, we're going to see some feed and how it gets to the chickens. So the feed is put in this trough, and this chain actually pulls the feed all the way around the barn so that the chickens can get at it. And so there's feed constantly available to the birds as well. Water here is a little bit more difficult. So you'll see these girls are drinking water out of this white water line and water nipples. So chickens can't actually swallow. So they have to lift their heads up and let the water roll down their throats. So to make this easier for the birds, we have placed the water lines above their head so that they just have to peck at it and it'll roll down their throats for them. And now we check feed and water every day, multiple times a day, to make sure that it's always there. So this is inside the barn. And as you can see, like we're checking the barn here. This particular barn has 3 levels. So you can see there's chickens on the top and on the bottom there. On the bottom, the birds have access to the whole length and width of a barn. But inside the system, on those 2 levels, that's where the feed, the water, and even the nesting area is for the chickens. So here you can see the birds on the bottom level on the floor in the litter. And this litter is, they like just sunbathing in the litter or pecking at it. And now this is a ladder that, or a ramp that helps the birds navigate all 3 levels. So chickens aren't great flyers, but they do try, but this just helps them. So as I said, these birds go outside as well. And you can see this is the range with the birds out there. You can hear they're pretty happy in this video. So nesting. Chickens really like nesting boxes because they're small and they're enclosed and they feel like a safe place. And birds really like that for when they're laying their eggs. And even though the nest boxes are small, they still like to lay an egg in the corner. So you can see this hen here, she's gonna lay an egg in a minute, and she's right in the corner and as safe as she can be, basically. You could also take note, like the nesting box, we've actually sloped the floor a little bit, and that just helps the egg roll out of the nesting area onto an egg belt, which we'll see later on. But we're gonna see this girl lay her egg here. There we go. So this is the egg belt. So all the eggs will roll onto this egg belt, and we will run it, and it will bring all of the eggs to the front of the barn for us so that we don't have to hand gather. Once the eggs get to the front of the barn, they go onto an elevator, and they get transferred onto another conveyor here. This is the other conveyor. And then once on this conveyor, they come up to the egg room, and we kind of sort them and put them in the cooler, which we'll see live today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew. That was great. And we actually had a ton of questions come in during that video. So if you have time, we'll answer a couple, and then we can maybe get into the next part.
Sure.
All right, perfect. So first one is from Hannah Clark. Does there have to be a certain temperature for the chickens to lay eggs?
No, so chickens are really good. They like temperatures above 18 degrees, and the ideal temperature is 20 to 24. That's where the bird is the most comfortable. So that's kind of where we have the barn set point at. But in the summer, it gets a lot warmer, just like outside, basically.
Awesome. Okay, how about this one from Yvonne? How many eggs do you produce a year?
Ooh, on this site, I don't know, a lot. I guess. We produce about 260,000 eggs every day on the site that I oversee.
Wow, that's a lot. All right, let's do a couple more. Here's a good one. When you start an egg farm, do you buy eggs or do you buy hens?
Just 1 second. In Ontario, you need to have quota to get into the egg industry on a large scale. And if you wanted to have your own birds, you can have up to 100 laying hens. And you could get an egg and hatch it, and then get eggs later on from it when it's all grown up, or you can buy them at ready to lay. And so you can buy a fully grown chicken, and it will lay eggs for you.
Wow. Okay. And why don't we do one more, and then we'll go into the next part. Okay. So this one's about food. Do the chicken eat corn?
Yes, chickens eat corn, wheat, soybeans. There's a whole mash of ingredients that come together.
I would add to that too, that in the East, we tend to grow a lot of corn. So birds in the East are fed a more corn-based diet. And in the West, they tend to grow more wheat. So the birds are fed more of a wheat-based diet. And I don't know if people know, but the egg yolk is actually lighter in the West because of that wheat-based diet, and the egg yolk is darker in the East because of the carotenoids in the corn. That makes the egg yolk darker. So there's a fun egg yolk fact for you.
That is very cool. So different eggs in different provinces are actually going to look different then.
Yes.
Oh, that's super cool. Awesome. So yeah, if you're ready, then why don't we get into the next part? We're going to do a little break for you all, actually, while we get ready for it. So if you want to get up on your feet, we have a special treat today that actually Sue starred in this video, and it is the chicken dance. Okay, so everyone on your feet. And are you ready to do the chicken dance? All right, here we go. Thank you, Sue, for doing that wonderful chicken dance. I hope everyone had a lot of fun doing the dance, and I hope you are ready for the next portion of our tour where Andrew's actually going to take us live now and show us what was actually behind him and another room where we can actually see the chickens. So let's see if Andrew is ready. Okay, looks like he needs a little bit more time. So what we're going to do is just answer a couple more questions for you until he's ready. All right. Here we go. I'm not sure if you know this one, Sue, but they're wondering how much chickens grow in 1 year.
That's a great question. So when we get our chickens on the farm, we get them, they come to the farm as day olds, so they're baby chicks. And at about 16 weeks, we raise them in a certain type of barn that is designed for the baby chicks to be raised to 16 weeks. And then we raise the chickens, then we take the chickens over to the layer barn. And you would have seen the laying barn that Andrew just took you on the tour of is a free range layer barn. And the hens will start to lay eggs around 16 to 18 weeks. And I would say they probably reach full growth. Andrew would have to confirm, but probably at that point in time, it would take them another month or two to hit kind of be fully grown. But I think I need Andrew to confirm that for me.
That is fair. All right, let's just check in with Andrew again and see if he's good to go. Hi, Andrew, can you hear me?
I sure can, yeah.
All right, are you ready to go or do you need still a couple more minutes?
No, we're ready to go. So on the Raylos site here, we have this viewing area, and we're able to walk through everything. We're just gonna go in the barn. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. So we have this, and this is for tours, for live tours. So if you guys are ever interested in a live tour, anybody can come and see right inside the barns here, and watch the chickens. So this is the exact barn that you guys saw a little bit in the video. And in here you can see the birds kind of just doing their thing. So there's the 3 levels. There's the floor down here, and there's the middle level, and there's the top level. So there's feed and water on those 2 levels. And this curtain area here, that's the nesting box, and they get into it from the other side.
We actually have a question if you're okay to answer it.
Yeah, sure.
So one of the students is wondering, are they all one breed?
Yeah, so these birds are all Lomond brown. But we have on the sites of Burnbrae here, we have multiple different breeds, but in each barn, the breeds are usually the same. So that's the barn, and now we can go check out the sorting room or the egg room. We'll just walk over there. You can see it through here, but we're gonna go right inside there.
Awesome. We have one question that I really want to hear the answer to while we head over there. So the question is, do chickens fight or form alliances that you can notice?
Oh, they definitely fight. That's where the term pecking order comes from. They all have their pecking order, so there'll be one dominant bird. I don't know about alliances, though. I think they just know who's boss and they leave them alone.
That makes sense. Awesome. Thanks so much.
So this is our egg cooler here. You can actually see we've got a few eggs here on skids right now. But this is the egg room here. Here's Edison. He's packing eggs today for us. Okay, so you got to see the yellow conveyor in the barn there. So we can look down there and see how many eggs we got left to pack today. Maybe. Looks like a lot. So these eggs are all coming right out of the barn. And this machine here is going to put them into the trays for us. So right here, the eggs are getting sorted into lanes. These are the lanes, so they go into the trays properly. And you can see the eggs are kind of on one side or the other. So this is actually putting all the points to the bar. And that way when the eggs it's hard to see, when they fall into there, the points are all going to be facing up. And then that clam there, it kind of rolls underneath. And you get to see comes down and it flips the egg, and all the egg points go down inside the tray. And it's dropping the eggs in the trays. And then right here, the trays are going into the stacker, and the stacker just puts them in a pile. We call it a case. So there's one full case of 6 trays. And then all we have to do is put it onto this skid there, and then put it into the cooler. And then the egg truck will come and pick them all up, and they'll repackage them and bring them to the stores.
Awesome. We have a question if you want to answer one.
Sure.
So do eggs from different breeds of chickens taste different?
I'm not sure you'd be able to notice a taste difference between the breeds, but you can definitely notice a taste difference depending on what the chicken is eating. That's probably the bigger difference.
Awesome. All right. One more question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
How many eggs can one chicken lay in its lifetime, do you think?
Ooh, so they lay in 1 year, they're gonna lay 340 eggs.
Wow. So almost 1 egg a day then?
Almost 1 egg a day, yeah.
Awesome.
So eggs coming out of the barn are pretty uniform like this. We try to get them around a large egg, so 60 grams. That's where we like them. But seeing as we get so many, we get a lot of different eggs. So we actually pulled some eggs aside today so that you guys could see them. I just have them in the other room, so we're gonna walk back over. And then maybe just another note, all of the eggs that you've seen so far have been brown eggs. So at Raylos, we have brown chickens, and therefore we get brown eggs. On the other side right now, we have at Adinek, we have all white chickens, and white chickens lay white eggs. And so they pulled some eggs aside that were a little bit more unique. So here's a regular size egg. And then we got some jumbo eggs over here. This guy is huge compared to this one. And then these ones are pretty neat too. These are all wrinkly eggs. And then, so these eggs actually came from Adnak, and you can see here's another jumbo egg. This guy is huge. But then we also get these peewee eggs as well. So we can actually take these really big eggs. This one has a crack in it. But these really big eggs, we call them double yolkers because when we crack them open and you look inside, we get 2 yolks. So basically 2 eggs out of this one. And then we could look at this little guy. I don't know if I can crack it as well as I did that one. But when you open those ones up, these peewee ones, they have no yolks at all. And this one here is another kind of wrinkly egg. It's cracked too, but you can see it's kind of flat flat there, and that actually is because this chicken had 2 eggs in her at the same time, and they were pushed up against each other while they were putting the calcium on it in the bird. So I said white chickens lay white eggs. Sometimes a white chicken will lay a nice pale egg like this. So it's not quite white, but it's also not brown either. So this brown one's got nice speckles on it. Yeah.
Awesome. Those are so cool. I did not expect 2 yolks to come out of that big one and then none to come out of that small one. That's super cool. All right. We have a couple questions if you want to answer them, Andrew.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So I think this is a really good question from Kristen. Are the eggs always laid in the nesting box?
No, they are not always laid in the nesting box. We do try, however, to get all of them to lay in the nesting box, but many times they lay eggs on the floor or outside or in the system somewhere. But we do spend a bit of time at the beginning of every flock when we get the birds to try to teach them to lay eggs in the nesting box so that we don't have to pick them all up.
Right.
Yeah, Andrew, I think when the birds first come into the barn, you do what they call on the farm, go in and put the birds to bed, right? So you'll go in after the lights have gone out in the barn, and you'll take all the birds that are down on the ground and you'll set them up into the next layer, up into the system, so that when they wake up in the morning, they'll be up up near where the nesting boxes are, because the birds will lay their eggs between 9 and 11 in the morning traditionally, right? And yeah, so if they can get those birds to kind of go up into the system, then they'll make sure that the majority of the eggs are laid in the nests. So we put our birds to bed. And ideally, you start with quite a few birds down on the ground. And by the time you finish at the end of, I don't know how long you would do it, Andrew, a couple of weeks, there are almost no birds down on the ground at the end. So
you had to teach them. That's very cool. All right. Another question here from Hannah. Can those eggs hatch?
No, these eggs cannot hatch. We don't have any roosters in the barn with our hens, so they don't hatch.
All right. So how many chickens did you say you have again in your barns?
In Raylos, we have 3 barns, and in each barn we have 36,000. About 36,000.
Okay, so this question maybe is obvious, but do chickens have specific names?
No, we do not name every single chicken. Although when we go in there, there are some that people do really like, so we kind of keep them separate in the barn, maybe at the front or back, and those ones have names. And they usually follow you around at the front of the barn.
Very cool. Okay, here's another question. What would you do if there was a predator close by?
So because our birds go outside, we actually have lots of different predators maybe coming around, like coyotes or hawks. Hawks will come down and try to grab chickens. So we use like fake owls to try to keep the hawks away, and we have fences around the barn to keep the foxes and the coyotes out and that kind of stuff.
Okay, awesome. It's good to know that you protect your chickens. All right, here's another question, and then maybe we'll do 1 or 2 more and then wrap it up. All right. Why do chickens have red things on their neck?
So they have like on the sides of their head, they have little combs, and they have a comb on the top of their head as well. That's how the bird cools themselves. They use the combs because they don't sweat like we do. So they'll do that, and they'll pant, kind of like a dog if they're really hot.
So it's like a built-in air conditioner almost.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's see. What do we have here? How long does a chicken live for?
Chickens can live up to like 5 to 8 years, maybe even longer in some cases. So they do live a long time.
I would not have expected that. That's awesome. Okay. How about this one? What's your favorite thing about your job?
Oh, the favorite thing about is it's got to be like I've always lived on a farm and worked on a farm. Farming is all I want to do, and working with the people here on this farm is just super enjoyable, and everybody loves working with the animals. So it's kind of just the whole culture of animal agriculture, I would say.
That's amazing. I love that. And so for anyone watching, this will be our last question. But if anyone liked what they saw and maybe is interested in becoming an egg farmer or even just working in agriculture at all, what would you need to get a job like yours? Is there a specific program in college or university?
So I went to college, and then I worked for Burnbrae, or started working for Burnbrae about 12 years ago. But Burnbrae actually has their own program as well that will train you in being a manager. So if you wanted to work for Burnbrae as a farm manager, we would train you ourselves.
Awesome. And would you say it's a hands-on job, or do you think there's all different kinds of jobs for everyone?
There's all different kinds of jobs for sure. Being on the farm is definitely more hands-on. So.
Awesome.
And I think I would add to that, maybe Andrew, that, there's working with the birds and working on the farm, but there's a lot of automation involved in managing a hen barn, I would say, right? In managing all the lighting and the ventilation and the equipment. And, it's multifaceted from that standpoint.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So if anyone's interested, just keep this all in mind. There's a job for you in agriculture. Okay, I think that's actually all we have time for today. Time flew by. But I just wanted to say thanks so much for showing us your facility, Andrew, and teaching us all about where our eggs come from during Local Food Week. It's the last day of Local Food Week, so I hope everyone had a great time, and I hope everyone watching just learned a lot. Is there anything either of you want to say before we head off today?
No, just thanks everybody for coming out and touring the farm with us.
Yes, thank you very much. And remember that eggs are one of Mother Nature's most nutritious foods. So
awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks so much, everyone. And thank you two, for joining us today. And I hope everyone has a lovely weekend. All right. Goodbye.
See ya.